Go to questions, what everyone's got, fire away.
How do you feel like the practice has been going so far?
Yeah, guys have worked very hard, and we've we've been doing a lot. We've been spending a lot of time on individual workouts. So obviously team stuff, but just still trying to continue to get our guys better. Spend a lot of time on conditioning and making sure we're not trying to, we don't turning the ball over and playing good defense, all those good things that go with that. We don't have any margin for error. That is one thing that I do know. Our margin for error is at 0. It is at 0. So, but we'll see how it goes. And for us, a lot of people ask, what do you think of the team? We really need to play against somebody else, and I'll have a better judge on how we are. We're still a little banged up with Michael DeVoe, as he's been out for about a month now. Christian Solichland had a head injury, so he was out for 8-9 days, which set him back. We've had some, Sylvester's been out for pretty much all fall because of an injury. He's just getting back. Brandon Alston had a finger injury. He was out for 4 or 5 days. Khalid Moore was out for a couple days with a hip pointer. So we've been banged up here and there, but we're hopefully by the time games get going, we're healthy.
Do you feel like DeVoe will be ready to go?
I do believe he'll be ready to go. I think he'll be rusty because he hasn't done any conditioning nor basketball nor anything for by the time he gets, could be 6 weeks.
He hasn't been able to do any shooting or anything?
Just on the side, but he's been in a boot. He just got out of a boot the last couple of days.
Right.
So when would you hope he would be cleared to come back?
Well, we were playing in a scrimmage on the 27th. So I would like for him to be able to, I don't think he'll be back for that. I'm hoping he'll be able to play in the Florida Tech game on the 3rd of November.
When you're missing a player like that who figures to be a key part of the rotation, perhaps likely even a starter, does that slow everyone else's pace?
Yeah, well, we also, and then there was about, we had 6 days where Jose was out too. So,
wow.
He was out with an ankle. And so, yeah, we have to move some different guys around, but all of our skill work we've been doing, and that's why the article that you had written about positionless, we have played everybody, like when we're doing our individual instruction, everybody, the bigs and the guards doing the same exact thing.
So when you're missing players like that, it might, in a roundabout way, help accelerate because you're.
Well, everyone's got to know all the different positions,
right.
and to become positionless, how we want to play, they've got to know what every spot on the floor, what they're doing.
Imagine it.
Is that different than how you've done it previously?
Yes, we've been interchangeable. The way we're doing now is extremely positionless. There's really not a position.
I imagine it's where Shimbari helps out since he can actually handle the ball, and he gives you a third guy because right now.
Yeah, he's had opportunities to play point. I've had to put Kurt Haywood at point. We've had to put Brandon at point when he's been in. So we've had different guys how to run the point.
In talking about the positionless concept, it's basically what would have been 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 5 are still defined, but only to a point. 1 is the 1 until he makes that first pass, then he becomes positionless. But the 5 with Ben pretty much remain defined. What about moving forward with AD or whomever plays the 5?
I think you'll see a lot of those guys on the perimeter, and I think you'll see different guys at different spots. I think we'll literally truly be positionless 1 through 5. That includes the point guard spot.
Is there a guy you feel like's improved the most since you guys have started practicing back up? Guys have gotten better. I think Evan Cole has continued to get better. Playing against other competition another opponent will be good for us, and I'm anxious to see us in the scrimmage on the 27th. We'll have a truly better feel of who we are and what we're about, and as in terms of our strengths and weaknesses. He's an interesting guy though because he can rebound and shoot the 3 and give you. And he's good around the basket. It seems like he's a guy that, if he can step his game up, could really kind of be dynamic for you.
Yeah, Evan, I think, would have a shot to be, his whole ability, the harder he cuts, the better he can be. But it's all on cutting for him. There can be no gray area with his ability to cut. The speed of his cut determines on how good he's playing, because the harder he cuts at the speed that he needs to be cutting at, the better chance for him to be. He's going to be better on the glass.
He's going to just be better all over, and he's got to live and die by the way he cuts.
Everyone knows about Michael. What can you tell us about Khalid and Christian, how they've looked?
Yeah, they've progressed. They've gotten better. They're going to continue to get better. There'll be some highs and lows with them because they're freshmen, but I'm excited to see their progression as the year goes.
I'm going to write something for the Everyday Champions magazine about your get the roster old and keep it old. Are you any closer to that now than you have in the past? Last year would have been the only fair year to ask because it was year 2, year 1 you can't do it.
Yeah, I've always said in year 1 we were older.
Right.
A lot of
not
main
because
guys.
you got them old.
Correct.
But
Correct. But I'm just saying, and that's why we had some of the success that we had. We were older, and I had said in year 2 that I felt that was going to be the hardest year. Now I didn't plan on losing Josh after his second year. Our plan was he was going to leave after his 3rd year. So that changes the dynamics for this upcoming season because I don't think anyone foresaw that. I was projecting him leaving after his junior year. But I do think we have 12 scholarship guys, 10 are scheduled to be back for next year. So I believe we will be old. I've always believed this, year 4 when you've looked at the trajectory would be old, and year 5 we'd be old. And that allows us in year 4 and 5 to get old and then stay old. And I've really liked having Shambari and James Banks as transfers. And I am...
And Brandon before them to a degree.
And Brandon. And I just, and so, you go into the spring and guys are, a transfer happens or whatever it may be. And so I told our staff I'd like to keep a scholarship or 2 open because that helps you get older. And guys have already been in college, and that makes a big difference. And that's another part of getting old and staying old. So, obviously you don't know until the spring happens on availabilities, but that is something that we're keeping an eye on as in terms of our scholarship situation.
To piggyback on that,
to help us to get old and stay old.
Right. To piggyback on what you just said about bringing in guys via transfer who've already been in college, is there an additional benefit gained toward the get old and stay old? They've got a different set of experiences, not just being college students. They come from other programs where they've been asked to do different things, play in different systems, and in some way does that bring them extra maturity?
There's 3 things. I've told you I've studied the league, and I've told you I want to model ourselves kind of after the Virginias and the Notre Dames and how they've done it, based on the same academic standards and different things like that. And there's a few things. Once they got the ball rolling for them, there's a few things they did. They got old and stay old. They were an older group. 2, they both did a really good job in evaluating. They didn't recruit on rankings, they did evaluation. I think that's really important, and we've tried to assimilate, do the same thing. 3, all those guys, both those teams have really good 3-point shooters. Got to shoot the ball. We've been dead last in the ACC the last 2 years, or second to last is in 3-point shooting. That's got to change. That's got to change starting this year. And who we recruit's got to be able to shoot the ball. Maybe not everyone has to be a knockdown shooter, but they've got to have the ability to put the ball in the basket from 3. You look at the Virginia Tech's rise under Coach Williams, and he's done an amazing job. But go look at their 3-point numbers, considering from when he got there to why they are where they're at. Look where they are in the 3-point production. I mean, and again, there's many things why they've been successful, but they've shot the ball well. So we've got to be better in that area. And then that we've got to develop. So we got to get guys who we believe can get better and develop, and that's part of our plan on what we're trying to accomplish. And we've been very disciplined and tough in our evaluations. Part of that, we have not, we've been very disciplined on that to this point.
Does being married to the get old and stay old idea mean that if there's a connection out there and it just happens to be a one and done caliber player,
No.
and he connects with Georgia Tech, he likes what you're offering,
No problem.
you like what he brings game wise, that doesn't...
We would take a one and done, but I'm just also being realistic that it's going to be hard for us to get those. But however, Josh Okogie, people didn't think was going to be 2 and done. So sometimes that's where you got to project the guys getting better and through time. But I have no issue having a 1 and done. It's just I'm also being realistic about it as well.
Is it realistic to think that one and dones might be more attracted to Georgia Tech when you achieve more success in the next year or two? And you start finding yourself in NCAA tournaments.
If
and
I feel
ACC
someone we're
finals?
recruiting is one and done, unless we have a great end, I'm not recruiting them.
Right.
As in, when I say not recruiting them, we're not going to, you know, we're going to do our job, but I don't think you can put all your eggs in that basket. So, you know, if we have an in, we're going to recruit, but I don't think we can put all our eggs in that one basket. We got to make sure that we're recruiting the guys that we feel that, you know, not only are good enough, but get ability. Because, you know, you could spend all your time recruiting a one and done, and in the end, the guy just is going to want to go to Duke or Kentucky or North Carolina, and that's just the reality of it. Kansas, that's kind of where it is today. So, you know, but that's part of evaluating. It's part of evaluation. I'm just telling you. I mean, look at Matt Farrell. I'll use a great example the other day. Matt Farrell was you look at his 2-star recruit out of high school, and the guy was an all ACC. I mean, just Josh Pastner. I mean, who wouldn't want the 5-star McDonald? Of course, I want. Who doesn't want those? But you've also got to be, you know, being efficient in recruiting is very important, and that's a big key. I'm just telling you, it's not the recruiting; it's the evaluation. The evaluating part of it is so important in the recruiting aspect.
Speaking of recruiting, are you planning on signing anyone in the November period?
You know, yeah. I mean, we've gone after a bunch of guys, and I shouldn't say a bunch. We've been disciplined in who we went after. Could we have already had guys committed? Yes. But we've been disciplined on who we've gone after. Now, maybe not everyone's chosen us, and not everyone has made decisions yet on who we've gone after.
Sure.
But let me say a few things on that. One, let's not forget we do have James Banks in the class. Two, we do have, like I said, 10 guys will be returning into next season. So I only have 3 open scholarships. So I am being selective and, as I mentioned, disciplined with it. Could we have signed somebody? There's guys who wanted to come that we probably have turned down because we've gone after, you know, maybe an upper, you know, just different levels of a different tier, and wanted to fit with what we were evaluating. And with that, it's going to be an absolute dogfight. And you know, for us to move the needle, I don't want to settle. And we'll see if that pays off. But I will remind everybody that recruiting is not just because somebody could sign in November signing period, and in this day and age, they could ask for a release in February. Recruiting should not be determined anymore in the way the new landscape is until the first day of summer classes start and who shows up on classes. That's what should be determined, because you've got a fall signing, you've got a spring signing, and in this day and age, if a kid wanted to get out of his letter of intent, until he shows up steps foot on campus, it really doesn't matter. And so I would tell everyone, the class we sign, let's wait until next June 15th or June 17th when the first day of classes start for summer school. That's when it should be determined on our class.
Well, it seems like between coaching changes and you have the FBI thing going on, which there may be fallout by next summer from, it seems like there may be guys that you've recruited now that maybe you were a step out on or whatever that become available, along with just also you talked about the transfer market as well.
Well, and graduate transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still an option out there for when guys are graduating, and they started a new. I don't know if anyone's aware. As of October 15th, they started a new NCAA transfer thing. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. Where it's a portal, where it changed the restrictions, so that you can't hold anyone back, and it's on an NCAA portal. So anyone who wants to transfer, there are no more restrictions on it. As in terms of blocking them from schools, you still have to sit a year, but the everything's within that, and so. What I would say is because of how it is, I would say recruiting is going to be a yearly thing, but it really should be determined on once you start classes, because you could sign nobody in the fall and sign 2 studs in the spring, or you get someone late. And I will remind that I kind of count James Banks as in the 19 class, but again, we don't have a ton load of scholarships, so we've been very disciplined and selective to making sure that we've got a chance to move the needle on who we want to get. And And as you guys know, I don't play I don't always play
Well, yeah, I was going to
a
say
lot
you
of
play
guys. So
10.
I don't know having 13 guys. Like, I wouldn't mind having 13 scholarships if 12 and 13 could be sit-out guys, and you're getting them ready for the year. So you continue to stay old. And so I don't play a lot of guys, as you guys know. I mean, 7, 6, 7, maybe you get to 8. So so that's another factor in that too.
You'd mentioned
Going back to
Sorry, go ahead.
going back to James Banks, the NCAA has been fairly liberal with waivers recently. Did you give any thought to maybe trying to get one for him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of, I'm working with that with compliance, and I'll leave it at that for right now.
That's still open-ended then, you're saying? Or?
Yeah, I'll work it with, it's good, I'm, in discussions with compliance and deal with them on that.
Is that something that would have to be done by the first game, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, that'd probably be more of a question for Shoshana on how all that stuff works. But she and I have been in communication, and so, I don't know if you want to add anything on that, Moose, or I don't know if there's anything more to add.
Nope.
It's like, nope, no, thank you.
You said previously that this has to be a great class. Are you as
Yep.
hopeful as before that that'll be the case?
I have no,
Holmes?
I have no issue that's going to be a great. And all I'm saying is the class should be judged. Wait till well, first of all, you got to make sure that the class we sign produces. So you can the judgment should be obviously once they start playing on how they look. But I would say that let's wait till we're Georgia Tech fans are going to have to wait all the way through till June. And I just say that because we're going to be selective and disciplined, and it's not, and one, we do have James Banks in the class, but two is we are going to be selective and disciplined to make sure that, we keep moving the needle and how we want to move the needle. And I'm not veering from my thought process on that. And we could have signed guys already if we wanted to, without question. We've just stayed very disciplined in that. Yes, it will still be a great class, but it's going to maybe take all the way until next June for it to happen.
I would just add to that, don't forget, the signing period now, it's not just a week in November. It starts first Wednesday or second Wednesday in November. It goes all the way through August 1st, so guys can sign at any time.
Is that even in basketball? I don't know. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just a week in November now and then a month in April.
No, I thought. Are you sure that? I don't know if it's in men's basketball.
I thought that was the case.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
All right.
Either way, but I would tell you though, even a guy that signs a national level 10, if someone wanted to leave in this day and age, they could get. It's the only thing that's binding is they show up on campus.
Right.
In terms of getting back to talking about the team, how's Curtis done in terms of getting back to
Been
where
good.
you want?
He's been good, and he needs game experience now, but he's been good, which is a good thing for us.
He seems like a guy who could be a huge kind of X factor if he
needs
plays
to be a 3
well.
and D guy. He needs to make a bunch of threes for us, and he's really good defensively off the ball. He's got to be better on the ball, but he's really smart, knows how to play off the ball, and he's just got to be a high clip 3-point shooting, 43% from 3.
Can he be 10, 12 points?
Yeah, but he's got to get it in various ways. I mean, he's got to continue to get. He's got to shoot at a high clip.
Moses, how far along is he in just his maturation process and giving?
He's matured, and I'm just taking it one day. He's got a lot of ability, and he's come a long way. But I'm still taking it one day at a time with him.
Is he kind of have the toughness and